Have we lost the original ending of the Book of Enoch because a later author manipulated the story? In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the first section of the Book of Enoch, known as the Book of the Watchers, in order to determine what really happened to Enoch. We first need to realize that the Book of the Watchers, as well as the entire Book of Enoch, was written as propaganda. This means that the author was willing to manipulate the narrative in order to promote an agenda. Second, it's important to understand the Book of the Watchers was developed by several different authors over time. To learn more about the compositional history of the Book of the Watchers, be sure to check out my video on that topic. In order to discover the original ending of Enoch, we need to look at one of the earliest layers about Enoch, a layer that I refer to as Enoch's journey. And that layer is about Enoch's journey to the ends of the earth. Then we need to look at how the other layers manipulated that narrative. One way to do that is to look at what the author of those layers emphasized and then infer the opposite. One point of emphasis is about Enoch's vision. We are told repeatedly that what Enoch saw was in a vision. We can infer from that in the original narrative of Enoch's journey, what Enoch saw was not in a vision. Rather, what Enoch saw, he saw in real life, at least according to the original narrative. By changing Enoch's experiences into a vision, this meant the author could then assign whatever meaning he wanted to that vision. We can see that point of emphasis in the text and the interplay between the original text of Enoch's journey and the reinterpretation of the text by a later author. This is done by using angels to reinterpret the meaning of Enoch's journey. In a previous video, I talked about how all the redactors of the text usually show up in the introduction of the book in order to set the tone and promote their agenda. The Book of the Watchers is no exception, and we can see that one of the redactors sets up his additions to the text by explaining that it was the angels that provided Enoch with the understanding of what he saw. Here it says, "Which the angels showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw." Here is one example of reinterpreting Enoch's journey. And the blue is Enoch's original journey, and it says, "From thence I went to another place to the west of the ends of the earth. And I saw a burning fire, which ran without resting, and paused not from its course day or night, but ran regularly." This is simply a recounting of Enoch's journey. But in the orange layer, it's a vision, and an angel is the device used to insert a new meaning. A meaning that's in line with the author's agenda. It says, "And I asked, saying, What is this which rests not? Then Regal, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said unto me, This course of fire which thou hast seen is the fire in the west, which persecutes all the luminaries of heaven." In another example, we see in Enoch's original journey, in blue, that he sees the tree of knowledge, but notice it lacks the of good and evil. In the orange, the author reinterprets it to fit the Genesis Garden of Eden narrative by saying, "Then Raphael, the holy angel who was with me, answered me and said, This is the tree of wisdom, of which thy father, old in years, and thy aged mother, who were before thee, have eaten. And they learnt wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they were driven out of the garden." This raises an interesting question. If Enoch didn't have a vision originally, was he dead or alive when he experienced it? Some of the places he visited were places where the dead were. This is similar to Job's original narrative. Be sure to check out my blog post, The Book of Job, and how El made Job from clay. Again, we're told that Enoch went where no flesh walks, but this doesn't necessarily mean he was dead. We need to remember that ancient cosmology saw places like heaven and the netherworld as physical places. Additionally, the author tells us that Enoch spoke with the tongue of flesh and the breath of his mouth. Is this the author trying to change the narrative that Enoch was dead? It may help to do a thought experiment. What if Enoch was alive on his journey, but never came back from the ends of the earth? And then a later author changes his journey to just be a vision. How would you then explain the disappearance of Enoch? The Book of the Watchers explains it by using a propaganda technique that I call time shifting. Time shifting is when you take an event in the narrative and move it to a different time in order to make it make sense in a new narrative. The Book of the Watchers takes the missing Enoch at the end of the story and moves it to the beginning by saying, "Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he abode, and what had become of him." Ironically, the biblical narrative may be closer to the original Enoch narrative than the Book of Enoch. In Genesis 5:24, it says, "Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him." And that's what I think the original narrative of Enoch claimed. that Enoch took a journey with God to the ends of the earth, and God decided to just keep him there. And no one knew what had happened to him. If you want to see my source attributions for the entire Book of the Watchers text, I'll link to it in the description. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, no pun intended, and please like, share, and subscribe.